And, the relegation race, Simon, Leeds showed that one result can change the landscape completely. They shoot up to 13th with victory. And yet this morning, even though the Forest lost, there's still talk that Steve Cooper is about to be shown the exit door by Marinakis. I mean, the game is upside down at the moment, isn't it?
By the standards of other sides, then Steve Cooper would be in the mix for a conversation. By the standards of current modern-day management requirements, which is to make your team effective and take yourself away from jeopardy, and to arrest a momentum going the wrong way, then Steve Cooper will be in trouble because his team are in absolute freefall. They are fourth from bottom in the league. They're dropping down from a position of apparent safety. They can't win a game. They are feeble as feeble can be away from home.
But having said that, where did we expect them to be?
Well, again, this is the question, because I think anyone suggesting that Nottingham Forest, despite the emotive outbursts from the owner when they got promoted last year, which is entirely understandable, because he's exhilarated with the circumstances. Nottingham Forest have landed back in the Premier League after 23 years. But Aston Villa, with equally as well-heeled and well-financed people, in their first season in the Premier League, finished fourth from bottom and just managed to escape relegation by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
So you would be in a situation, but this is the moment where people get nervous.
Sure.
This is the moment when people become slightly anxious about the direction of travel. So I'm not in the camp. I don't have one single scintilla of sympathy for managers that get fired, because most of the time they get fired for reasons that are in their jurisdiction. They're
That's
not doing
no
their jobs
surprise, Danny, is it?
Well, it's not. It just happens to be the real world.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually getting to that point myself. I mean, I was on air the other night. We're talking about Graham Potter and how everyone feels sorry for him, etc. And I get he's a nice guy. You can't help but like him, but I don't feel that sorry for someone who gets paid however many
Gets his
millions.
wages delivered by Brinks Matt.
Well, yeah, for failure.
Well, absolutely. You get someone's disappearing off with 15 million quid for
failing
doing
at
an
your
average job, and people are sitting there crying in their crocodile tears for a start, but notwithstanding it, it's still a situation where football has moved, it's changed, and the game plan now is managers have got to be good from the get-go.
Of course, yeah. It's all about
good
winning.
or lucky.
And Steve Cooper's Nottingham Forest did not win last night. They were on course to. Earlier on in the game, of course, they were looking good, but then Leeds United got hold of the game and Leeds United won it. Cooper, though, at the end of it, still took the emphasis off him and whether or not he was about to get sacked.
Yeah, I'll forever be grateful to the supporters. That's why winning games feels so joyous and losing games hurts, because they're so good with me. When we let them down like we did tonight, it's painful, and to your colleague's question before, that's how I think, about like trying to do good and right for the club. Not I just don't think about myself, So always grateful for the support. Don't take it for granted. Certainly don't feel entitled by it. And if anything, I sometimes the more support I get, the more determined I get and paranoid I get about not letting them down, And that's why, tonight I feel like I did, and I felt the same after Wolves as well, because it was a game we could have won.
You see, Danny, the Forest fans were still chanting Cooper's name during the match.
Well, that's because he took them from relegation in the Championship in one season to the Promised Land, which is phenomenal. And there's been many managers who've had many more years than him at Championship clubs, taking them up and struggled to stay up. It's a massive task, irrelevant of how many players were brought in the summer, whether he had the same squad, a better squad, more money, less money.
Yeah.
We've seen Championship teams come up and spend. I remember Fulham coming up and spending over 100 more, nearly 100 million, whatever it was, and going back down. There's no guarantee success when you come from the Championship. Look, if one manager stands out to me that deserves an extra stay of execution, it's Steve Cooper. It doesn't mean he stays in the job forever.
Why?
Because of
I kind of half concur with you.
Because of what he's done
in your mind.
In a world lacking no loyalty or no understanding of a situation anymore. If you put it in context, the overall picture is Nottingham Forest have done wonders to get where they are, and too quickly, too soon in a footballing sense because of the squad they went up with.
But isn't the whole industry predicated on this sort of sentiment? Because when a player that does things for you previously is no longer able to do things for you currently, he gets jettisoned.
Well,
so the manager, what they do as a matter of course, doesn't get picked, he gets dropped, he gets bombed out of the situation.
But they could sit at a club for 2 or 3 years earning.
But that's because of contractual situations.
Yeah.
But the manager will show no loyalty to play. He won't remember, well, last year you helped me get promoted. They'll go buy a whole new raft of players to fulfil the obligations in the Premier League.
I think there's lots of players who've played a season
I mean,
or
the
two
interesting
based on
thing
what
for me,
they've done
Jim,
before, Simon.
The interesting thing for me is this dynamic of how people are being briefed. Now, everybody knows back in the day that I had a litany of managers. Never, ever once did I ever speak to a journalist or an agent or anybody to say to them that I'm about to fire this manager. So we seem to have this culture of either supposition on the part of journalists or owners that are seemingly briefing the media left, right and centre about what they're going to do to the people that work for them. And I don't understand it, because why would that manifest itself?
Could it be
because
more to do...
all the managers I fired, nobody knew. They might have guessed, but nobody knew from the person that was going to do it that this person was going to be fired.
There's two different things with that. One is the owner's team around him now is probably bigger than when in your day. Lots of people around him and talking to him and all that, you know. And then also, how do you get the next man in place without making a few phone calls before you get rid of the... If you want to... You know, we criticise owners going, oh, you've not got a plan. Well, the only way you have a plan is by speaking to managers before you sack the one you've got.
And that's a good point.
Yeah. Actually, on that very subject, though, Danny, you look at Leicester. Leicester lose to Villa. They're cemented in the relegation zone this morning. So have the owners there inadvertently pushed themselves closer to the Championship without a plan B post Brendan Rodgers?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there was real discontent from the players and disharmony, why would you get rid of a manager unless you had somebody ready to go?
Right.
Fine, if you want to make a change, you decide this group of players isn't playing for the manager, he's had his day, you know, we've got to make a change, freshen it up, make your plan. Have someone ready, whoever it is.
The support's coming in for Cooper. A mate of mine, Chris, big Forest fan, hashtag Cooper in, Jim, undoubtedly Cooper in. I mean, at the moment, he's still there until we hear otherwise. But with Marinakis at the helm, with these kind of owners there, Simon, who are nervous, to say the least, about dropping down, that can change.
Well, there's two kinds of scenarios. There's a scenario where the person that's in office is so toxic that it doesn't matter what you replace him with, you just got to get him out of the building.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's the other scenario where you've got a better alternative. Now, Steve Cooper's not toxic.
No.
And Nottingham Forest are unlikely to have a better alternative. So unless you've got a better alternative, you might as well stick rather than twist.
Neil's a big Forest fan. Can't wait to join us. Neil, good morning. Steve Cooper, still in the job, and that's what you want, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. He's what we need. We need stability, and like I say, he's had all these players signed, kind of thrown at him. Loads were signed after the actual season kicked off. If we were to go down, he's the ideal man to get us back up.
Yeah.
You know, we can't keep chopping and changing. We've had years and years of that. We've had some terrible managers. He's come. The fans love him. He loves the club. As I say, we're up against it. Yeah, we don't deny that. But he's the man for Forest. We've got to stick by him.
Do you trust Marinakis to do that, though? To be honest, Neil?
No, not in the slightest. No, we've seen him at Olympiacos. We've had 3 managers this season already. We've been linked to someone like Vieira. He comes in for the last few games, we get relegated. What then?
Well, he's in a great position, even if you go down, because the squad's healthy. Yeah, he might have to nip and talk and get a few out, but he knows how to get out of the division, and you've got the parachute payments.
And maybe this is the ex-owner in me, I just find that sort of attitude from fans quite preposterous. You've got a football club, you don't trust the owner to make the right decision. You've got a football club that's been out of the Premier League for 23 years. This is the first owner that's put the resources behind this football club, besides Nigel Dougherty, to get you out of the Championship. He's then backed it in the Premier League, and all of a sudden, because he might make a decision for the betterment of the football club, the fans don't trust the owner, they trust the manager.
Neil, has Simon not got a point there?
He does have a point to an extent, but he's thrown money at it, but his son's bought some shocking... I mean, his son, Mitlardis, he's bought loads of players. He's done all the donkey work. He's bought some players... Lingard was never the right sign. We've wasted like Chris Woods and stuff. We bought some shocking players.
I thought Lingard was walked in with... I thought Lingard was welcomed in with the hero's reception.
By
It
some.
was the novelty of a big name player.
Agreed, I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it's big marquee name signing, big name. Jesse Lingard, we all know him. He comes in.
I agree.
He's just a glorified cheerleader.
My only concern is what we were talking about just earlier, and I don't know how you feel about it. But when the rumours are out there, they tend to come from somewhere. I know what Simon's saying. The journalists look for a story, and we got to fill headlines. I get it. But sometimes you kind of think he must be sounding one or two, maybe other managers out.
Of that, there's no doubt.
Well,
yeah,
that's where it starts. Because
I'm sure.
How do you sound a manager out without it getting out?
Yeah. Well, Marinakis is hardly on the blow to Steve Cooper saying this morning, everything's fine, don't panic.
Well, I hope he is, but he's probably not. Yeah.
You think?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.